Let's imagine a world where plants are the only life forms. What would the cycle systems of nature look like, and would they still be functioning? Could the Earth still be a viable zone? And last but not least, what would the plants look like, and what characteristics would they have? Let us find out together today and here on Let's Imagine. Please consider subscribing. It's free, it's easy, and you're signed up to see more imaginational craziness. Our Earth functions due to various cycles running in the background. These cycles make life possible in the first place. One of the most important ones is the carbon cycle. Carbon is the main component of biological compounds, and along with the nitrogen cycle and the water cycle, it triggers events that are the key to make Earth capable of sustaining life. Most of the carbon in our atmosphere is produced by combustion, decomposition, or respiration. In a world where plants are the only life forms, the carbon production would be greatly reduced, as animals and especially we humans would not longer be there to produce it. So the general amount of carbon would be much less than it is now and would originate from the decomposition of other plants or natural combustion like volcanoes or wildfires. As carbon dioxide is one of the components that is needed for the photosynthesis, it is vital for the existence of plants. Another cycle that helps plants to survive is the nitrogen cycle. Nitrogen is also vital because it is a component of amino acids in proteins, of nucleic acids, and of other essential substances. In combination with fungi and bacteria, the nitrogen is provided for the plant. At this point, the thought experiment has to be extended with bacteria and fungi to make it possible at all and to form somewhat of a cycle. Another cycle that is vital for plants is the water cycle. The general movement of water around the planet shapes the landscape, transports minerals, and is essential for an ecosystem. To verify if this cycle would still work as needed, we have to add some other variables to this consideration. As the water cycle and therefore water evaporation and condensation completely relies on temperature, the greenhouse effect is one of them. It warms the Earth to a livable level, and as climate change shows, even the impact of us humans modifies this effect. Too much plants would reduce the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, which is a greenhouse gas. This would have the reversed effect of that what the climate change is doing right now. The Earth would be cooled down when there are too many plants, and an ice age could happen as a result of it. So how would plants have to adapt to meet all these challenges? With plants as a dominant life form on Earth, they probably would evolve in many different ways that we could barely imagine from our current standpoint. The general categorization of plants differs between plants that make seed and those who don't. A more precise classification distinguishes algae, ferns, moss, flowers or trees. But even this classification is still very rough. Overall, we can find about 380,000 species of plants on Earth. This number would probably be higher within this imagination, and the diversity would be also much greater. One example of how plants could have evolved include the altering of their albedo, which is a measure for the reflection of surfaces. Just imagine two types of flowers. One flower is white, the other one is black. One would reflect the sunlight and therefore warm the atmosphere. The other one would absorb the sunlight and therefore generate energy and cool in the atmosphere. In a completely simplified representation of the world, plants could therefore adapt better to climate changes and could influence it to a certain extent. To summarize these thoughts, a world with only plants is only possible when some other conditions are met too. The understanding of our ecosystem would be completely different and not predictable, because it depends on many changing circumstances. What we can say though is that we need to take all these facts into consideration. The rest is up for your imagination. How would you imagine a world with plants as the only life form? Let us know in the comments.